Shabbat Shalom. And Happy New Year. Every New Year's celebration almost always leads to us both reflecting on the year that has just passed and resolving to better ourselves in the year ahead. A Jewish New Year is no different. In fact, we have a whole holiday built around that idea. We'll get to the resolutions part in a bit, but first, instead of looking back at last year, which we'll do plenty of tomorrow, I promise, I'm going to ask you to look much further back. Not 1 year, not even 1 decade, but 2 full decades, or 20 years. Measured another way, in what I truly promise is a coincidence, I'm asking us all to look back a full score. Back in 2004, we all turned up the volume on our iPods and got A-Town down, listening to that year's #1 song, Yeah, from a trio of young, up-and-coming Atlanta rappers, Usher, Lil Jon, and Ludacris. If you wanted to Netflix and chill over the weekend, if you know, you know, and if you don't, ask the teens when they get back. They'll love that. But if you wanted to Netflix and chill, you better have planned ahead in time for them to mail your DVD. Netflix didn't start streaming until 2007. While you're talking to the teens, you can also tell them what a DVD was. 2004 was also an election year. But in Georgia, you hardly would have known it. Not on your TV, not on your mailbox. The battleground state then was our neighbor to the south, Florida. That wasn't the only thing different about Florida and Georgia back then. On Kol Nidre 2004, the Gators had won 15 of their past 20 games against the Bulldogs. Good times. As for both myself and B'nai Torah, 2004 was a milestone year which changed our future paths forever and connected us on a long journey together that continues to this day. Tonight, while I'm honored to have the opportunity to speak with you from the Bima as the president of our board, 20 years ago, not only wasn't I a member here, I probably couldn't even found this place on MapQuest. So what happened in 2004? Well, back in 2003, I met a girl named Lauren. We met in the way that more than half of all couples meet today, but was novel back then, online. Except then, there was no swiping right, and fortunately for me, no swiping left, because you couldn't swipe on your Razr flip phone. The iPhone was still 3 years away. We met on a website. In fact, we met on the OG of dating sites, JDate. The Yenta of the internet village of Anatevka, if you will. Those that weren't listening to Yeah probably have all those lyrics memorized. 6 months of sunrises and sunsets after our first date, we were engaged. I had the girl, she had the ring, but it turns out that wasn't all you needed to get married. According to tradition, we apparently needed a rabbi too. Neither of us belonged to a synagogue, and we really didn't know where to find the right one, so we did what approximately 1/4 of the country would do at the time, searched for an answer on Yahoo. Shortly after that is when we walked through the doors of B'nai Torah for the first time and began our family's personal journey as members of this congregation. We were warmly greeted by Sarah Walls, who still greets all our guests the same way today, and were given a tour by our then president. While we're still in the same building today, it sure looked a lot different then. The Ark was not its beautiful 2-tone wood color that you see now, and we had bench seating in lieu of the more comfortable chairs that those of you who got here early, or perhaps too late, are enjoying tonight. We truly felt at home and wanted to join that day. There was only one problem. In fact, B'nai Torah had the same problem that we did. It needed a rabbi. During our tour, we learned the exciting news that a young new rabbi was about to start. He was from New Jersey and would be moving to Atlanta with his wife, Wendy, their 2-year-old son, Caleb, and unfortunately, a Mets hat. Rabbi Heller's first day with B'nai Torah was July 1st of 2004, and our membership was barely 400 families. Just 4 months later, Lauren and I became the first couple that Rabbi Heller officiated a wedding for here in Atlanta. And more than 2 years after that, in early 2007, when our son Nate was born, he became the first son of a couple that he officiated a wedding of that he also did the bris for. At the time, our membership had grown to 504 families. Also, in case any of you were wondering, none of those firsts gets you a plaque in the lobby in the slightest. 2 years later, we welcomed our daughter Jillian into the world, and Rabbi Heller was there once again during a random March snowstorm with a borrowed car to bless her with her Hebrew name. Our membership was at 641, and we were interviewing for a second rabbi. Both of our kids attend a preschool here, and when Jillian graduated in 2014, we had now grown to a membership of 710. Over the years, our ties to B'nai Torah grew stronger, and I joined the board just before Nate's bar mitzvah in early 2020. At the time, our membership had swelled to 818 families, and we'd also welcomed Rabbi Kay to our congregation just a few years earlier. The sanctuary was overflowing that February morning, which would be one of the last times it would for quite some time, as the onset of COVID quickly changed our world and our shul. Amazingly, but unsurprisingly, B'nai Torah responded to the crisis and continued to serve our community, offering services for free on Zoom for anyone and everyone who wished to participate. Our congregation continued to grow. By the time of our daughter's bat mitzvah in early 2022, we now had 855 members, and soon after welcomed the third member of our clergy, Rabbi Bright. Just a few months after Jillian's bat mitzvah, my family suffered an unexpected and an unimaginable loss when my mom passed away. Once again, B'nai Torah was there for my family and me on another step of our Jewish journey. As part of my own personal grieving process, I started attending Minyan every morning to say Kaddish for my mom. There, I met and became friends with a different part of our community, and arguably one of our most important, the group of dedicated men and women who keep our daily Minyan alive. They welcomed me with open arms, guided me through the morning Minyan rituals, and truly helped me through the grieving process. That experience opened my eyes even more to all our shul has to offer us as members. So where are we now? B'nai Torah is now 940 members strong, and we truly are a vibrant and growing conservative synagogue, which is unique in this day and age. Why are we so fortunate? Much of the credit goes to our three incredible rabbis, as well as our amazing professional staff who make it all possible. Reflecting back on my family's 2 decades as part of the congregation, though, there's an even more fundamental reason why. B'nai Torah has met us at every step of our Jewish journey, whether it was moments of joy or sadness, educating our kids, or being part of life cycle rituals. B'nai Torah has stood up and said to my family and me, "Here I am. Hineni." Tomorrow, we will all be fortunate to hear Cantor Yoav's beautiful recitation of the prayer of the same name. However, the act of one person declaring on behalf of all of us, "Here I am," truly resonates with me and speaks to what makes our synagogue so special. I know my family's story of B'nai Torah always being there for us is not unique, but I also know that it has always been able to stand up and say Hineni to us because of everyone here who has never hesitated to say, "Here I am," for B'nai Torah themselves. Keeping the past in mind, but focusing on our future, resolving not only to be a better version of ourselves, but to better our shul as well. As you know, dues only cover a fraction of our budget, 40%. And as B'nai Torah has grown, so has its needs and those of our congregation. Not only are we serving more members of our community within these walls, but we're seeking to do more outside of them as well, both locally here in Atlanta and as far away as Israel too, where we all know the help is truly needed now more than ever. You all should have received Kol Nidre cards when you walked in tonight, and for those at home, you received an email. Those cards provide multiple tabs that give you an opportunity to contribute in one of many ways to B'nai Torah. It could, of course, be through a generous monetary donation, which helps fill the gap between our budget and our dues. It can also be through a contribution of your time. You can volunteer in a variety of ways, many of which are listed on the right side of the card. I'd also encourage anyone who can to help support that dedicated group of members who helps make sure that our daily minyan has the 10 people it needs, both in the morning and in the evening, so that everyone who ever needs to say Kaddish without worry can. I know I appreciated that part of our community when I needed it most. Along the bottom of your card this year are 2 more special options for monetary support: the wonderful Backpack Buddies and Family Promise programs. There are so many ways for each of us to make a difference and help pave the path of our collective journey for the next 20 years. And on behalf of the entire board, your rabbis, the staff here at B'nai Torah, I want to thank you in advance for everything you do in whatever way you can to support us in the ways that you feel most comfortable. My colleagues from the board will be circulating through the aisles shortly to collect the cards, but please take as much time as you need to consider your contributions. Just like my predecessor, who gave us our tour probably couldn't have 20 years ago, I don't know what B'nai Torah will look like 20 years from now in 2044. How much different will our building look? How much larger will our congregation be? Will the Gators finally be winning games against the Bulldogs again? I hope. Who will be president of the board then? If history is any guide, he or she may be sitting in this sanctuary right now, thinking more about the start of their own Jewish journey with us than where they'll be in 2 decades. Either way, I know from my experience and from that of so many of you that I've had the opportunity to meet personally, that at every step they take along the way here, B'nai Torah will always step up and say, Hineni, thanks to the generosity of everyone here who is always there to say, here I am. Gemara Chatima Tova, may you be sealed in the book of life.